partners around campus is, I think, key. I mean, this is
Yeah.
not a mission that we can abandon. It is not
Absolutely.
for us. It is for our children. It is for things we care for,
Yep.
you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I could have remained an architect and made more money. But I choose to do this because, architecture is not about building just that space. I mean, I think I still work as an architect every day
Oh, absolutely. You
in
do.
trying to shape, a little bit. It's like, it's not like building the house, but building the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same kind
Absolutely.
of thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, I want, students who come here, our students who go, my own kids, to feel that they are raised in an environment where they understand each
Yeah.
other, that we have compassion, we have love,
Yep. Yep.
respect.
Yep. Absolutely.
Those things are, you cannot, I mean, it's not taught in the curriculum, but needs to overall define.
You're listening to Speaking of Language, a podcast recorded at the Language Resource Center at Cornell University. I'm Dan Gable, Technology Manager for the LRC. Each week, we explore a topic related to language pedagogy and second language acquisition. This week on Speaking of Language. In our final episode of the season, Uttiyo Raychaudhuri, Executive Director of Cornell's Office of Global Learning, discusses the importance of promoting global citizenship and international engagement. Listen to this important and moving episode.
Welcome to a new episode of Speaking of Language. I'm Angelica Kramer, the Director of the Language Resource Center at Cornell University. I am delighted to have my colleague Uttiyo Raychaudhuri with me in the studio today. Dr. Raychaudhuri is Executive Director of Cornell's Office of Global Learning, and we will talk about this new office and their initiatives that promote global citizenship and international engagement. Welcome to Speaking of Language, Uttiyo.
Thank you, Angelica, for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here and to learn more about this new office that was formed. Before we talk about the Office of Global Learning and Global Cornell, can you share with our listeners a little bit about your background and your engagement with international studies and possibly also with languages?
Sure. One of the distinguishing characteristics of my career has been the diversity of the experiences that I've had. I feel very fortunate that I had these opportunities. I've traveled to every continent.
Wow.
I speak, read, write English, Hindi, and Bengali. Bengali is my mother tongue. So mostly from the Indo-European language family. And I have some basic skills in some other ones too. I can kind of navigate with Urdu, Punjabi, Nepali. And in school, I did study Sanskrit for 3 years.
That's fascinating.
So my interdisciplinary interests, have ranged from architecture to natural resource management. Combined, a multicultural upbringing from India to here.
Sure.
Spent time, England, Australia. And this unique blend provided me a really broadened perspective. It shaped how I think, how I look at, and the perspectives I have towards people, environments. I've been involved with international higher education at mostly land-grant universities for a better part of 16 years now as a student, teacher, administrator. My alma mater is the School of Planning and Architecture, and I practiced architecture for a good bit of time, and then came to the University of Georgia. And there is how I, as a faculty, I got into these international education opportunities, doing our first trips down to the South Pacific, to New Zealand, Australia, and then we slowly, expanded the rest of the South Pacific to Fiji, Tahiti. We went all the way down to Antarctica.
Wow.
We had programs in Asia and India and Bali, Thailand. We had programs at Cambridge University. So slowly, that's how I got introduced to it. Then before coming to Cornell, I spent about 5 years leading the Clemson Abroad office in the Office of Global Engagement there. And then I joined in April this year and started the Office of Global Learning as its first executive director. My research mostly is in areas of global citizenship, environmental justice, international engagement. One of the key things that I've been pursuing is to look at international education beyond, what I would call a pipe, which is looking at just mobility, to going to a portal which will give you, like an opportunity gateway.
Yeah.
Ideally, really create what would be a platform that would be, cohesive, seamless, and provide people a comprehensive environment to thrive.
That's fantastic. Wow, I can't get over the fact that you've been to all continents. I'm a little bit jealous right now.
I think at Cornell, we should really look at having a footprint in every continent. We do have
Agreed.
students that actually go to every continent.
Okay.
We have a student right now actually working and would be headed to Antarctica
Wow.
later this
Okay.
year.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful. So can you tell our listeners a little bit more about this Office of Global Learning? So as you mentioned, this is a new office, right, that brings together a number of different people. So what does the Office of Global Learning do? How does it work with faculty members and with students?
Right. So the Office of Global Learning was created about 8 months ago in an effort to increase Cornell's international academic opportunities, better support its international students and scholars. So it brought in the Cornell Abroad office and the International Student and Scholars Office together, operationally and administratively. The Cornell Abroad office would support over 500 students that go to over 45 countries for, study abroad experiences for a semester. And then we have over 5,500 international students, about 2,000 international faculty and scholars from almost 117 countries here.
Wow.
So we work with a large group of students, faculty, scholars, and support them. The team is incredible, really great group of folks that I'm fortunate to work with. And we've been slowly coming together, forging ahead, with a mission of, developing and supporting the next generation of global citizens, fostering mobility, exploration, international cultural exchange. Our office motto is, every person, every study, everywhere.
Nice. In every language.
In every language, of course. I mean, you cannot do it without, encompassing that. I mean, the importance of language learning is really key to how you get immersed in another culture. I mean, it gives you an insight into them, but it also gives them an insight about you because you are then able to share, come to a common platform.
Yeah. Approximately how many of the study abroad programs actually utilize or ask students to have some kind of proficiency in the target language? I assume that most programs, similar to other universities, the language of study tends to be English.
Right. But we do have some key programs. So we are some of the last remaining group in today that do long-term semester programs focused on language learning. So we are part with the Ivy colleagues, part of this CASA group. And CASA, we promote language learning opportunities, and that's the foundation. That is higher level, intense language courses. So you need a basic language proficiency to even be able to go and study abroad in these areas. We definitely have programs that there are English-based, but we constantly encourage students to seek and go and learn. So even where language is not the main focus, we do support with the help of the LRC and other units around campus with, FLAC courses, Jumpstart courses, all of those. So we were always encouraging students to actually encompass that before, during, and continue that after.
That's fantastic. Great. Wonderful. So there is this concept called Global Cornell. What's the relationship between this idea of Global Cornell and the Office of Global Learning?
Right. So, today's complex world, demands a commitment to global engagement. Global engagement requires this appreciation of intercultural differences, understanding the inequalities, the spirit of collaboration for mutual benefit, all of those things. So the Office of Vice Provost for International Affairs is the bigger picture at Cornell. That is the Global Cornell. And it has a vision of creating a just, sustainable and connected world where differences are valued and exchange is encouraged. So there are 4 goals that we've worked with since Wendy has come in. Promote and support Cornell's mission to educate the next generation of global citizens, to inspire and facilitate student, faculty, and staff research on global issues, to foster meaningful connections and valuable collaborations across Cornell and the world, and position Cornell as a leading institution for international studies and global thinking and action. So the Office of Global Learning is part of OVPIA, and then it takes this and then promotes this vision of a connected world of global understanding, compassion, inclusion, growth, where all people are inspired to discover, cross borders, and engage with communities across the globe.
That's fantastic and so important.
Yes.
More important than ever, right, in the world we live in today.
Absolutely.
So you already highlighted some of the important reasons in these 4 areas and part of the mission. When we think about teaching and learning, why is a global focus important in your opinion?
Every college and university today wants to prepare students who are global citizens. The aim is spelled out in mission statements, carried out in action plans that engage faculty, administrators, staff, inside and outside the classroom. It is grounded in the understanding that globalization touches everyone's life, whether it is the smartphone, whether it is this podcast that you could access from anywhere around the globe, or issues such as climate change or the refugee crisis. We are in the midst of all of this. International education is one of the primary means by which we are able to bridge this cultural and linguistic divide, whether it exists not only within our country, but also around the globe. However, those opportunities, no matter how expanded they are, for the students, they occupy only a portion of their college careers. They often reach only a minority.
Sure.
Which explains why global education initiatives really need to be more comprehensive. And we need to emphasize that we need to globalize the curriculum through teaching, through learning, through curricular integration. And then it's delivered on the home campus and everywhere else. And it would help students recognize and respond to all the global dimensions of everyday life in their own backyards. Then, as we bear witness to a world with, increasing strife, violence, bigotry, I really affirm my belief in this transformative power that global education and international education brings. It is one of the most effective ways to facilitate understanding, peaceful dialogue in troubled times. My own international education philosophy is that we create an environment that integrates destinations with disciplines, which shape destinies, becomes the norm rather than the exception. The question is, if not if, but when.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The endeavor is to redefine the benefits of education abroad so that they're intrinsic to the ethos, and they promote an idea of progress. And progress is one that brings in respect, humility, and it is the heart of global citizenship. You argue the case for the dignity of life, nurturing love and respect for peoples and environments of the world. The value proposition is that international education opportunities would be people-centered, would be socially responsible, and will create a more better understanding world. Eventually, I think progress would be when we go from human being to being human.
Wow. That's wonderful. Cornell is very fortunate to have you as the first executive director of this office. You have some great ideas and good understanding of what needs to happen in education and in global learning in general. That's wonderful. So where can faculty and students find out more information about your office, about Global Cornell? Is there a website that we can direct them to?
Yeah, so we always encourage us, we are located at 300 Caldwell Hall on the Ag Quad. Come visit us. Have a coffee with us. Have a chat with us. We have student walk-in hours every day. We have times for faculty and staff to visit. And of course, they can connect with us from anywhere at globallearning.cornell.edu.
Perfect. Wonderful. Great. Well, Uttiyo, this was a very important episode, I think. You brought up a lot of things that we all need to think about and things that we all can work on ourselves. So thank you so much for being on Speaking of Language today.
Thank you, Angelica, and thank you to everyone. We really support global education, and we encourage you all to come visit our website, globallearning.cornell.edu, or come see us in person.
Wonderful. Perfect. Well, and I think this actually was a fantastic episode to finish our second season of Speaking of Language. So we are coming to an end here with today's episode. Of course, we will be back in the new year with new topics and new guests. In the meantime, you can listen to our archived shows on our website at lrc.cornell.edu or on iTunes. We wish all our listeners a wonderful holiday season. Until next year, auf Wiederhören!
The Language Resource Center is located on the ground floor of Stimson Hall on Cornell's main campus in Ithaca, New York. Check us out on the web at lrc.cornell.edu or look for Cornell LRC on Facebook and Twitter. Speaking of Language is produced by Sam Lupowitz and Dan Gable. Recorded by Sam Lupowitz. Original music by Sam Lupowitz, Dan Gable, and Joe Gibson. Thanks also to the College of Arts and Sciences at Cornell University. As a reminder, the ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast do not reflect those of the College of Arts and Sciences or any other official entity of Cornell University. We thank our listeners, and do stay tuned for our next episode.